Lot to talk about today.
We sure do.
Okay, let's start with Merrick Garland. He seems to think you and other Republicans are pushing a conspiracy that the DOJ is doing something nefarious to get former President Trump. Millions of Americans think there's a conspiracy to get former President Trump. Well, what do you make it today?
Well, I mean, he can try to message any way he wants. The facts are the facts. The majority of Americans believe that the whole case or cases against President Trump are political, a political attempt to destroy the political opposition. And Merrick Garland is the person that everyone's looking at. I mean, we expect no better out of Joe Biden, but we're supposed to have an attorney general that presides over the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice is supposed to be fair. And I think the American people have lost complete confidence in the Department of Justice. They view Merrick Garland as nothing but a political hack who's going to do everything he can to weaponize the courts to go after all of the loyal opposition. And that's what we're seeing with the Trump trials, and that's what we're seeing with his refusal to be transparent, turn over the Hur tapes.
Yeah, Congressman, about the Hur tape specifically, Garland this morning, he did say, well, if we do that, then anybody who has an audio tape is going to be afraid because then they'll become public. But let me just say, we're not talking about anyone. We're talking about the president. Wouldn't there be a different level of expected transparency when you're talking about the commander-in-chief?
Absolutely, 100%. Does anyone doubt for a second if those tapes had been of President Trump that they wouldn't have already released those tapes? I mean, the facts are the American people have no confidence in the Department of Justice. And when we say we want the tapes, one reason we want the tapes is we don't trust the Department of Justice to have put on the transcript word for word what was said. We've already seen some evidence where the Department of Justice has admitted they altered the transcript slightly. Well, what does that mean? You know what? The transcripts are supposed to be identical to the audio. What we feared all along is that Merrick Garland has stepped in to try to clean up the mess that Joe Biden left behind. I mean, we've all seen Joe Biden try to do interviews and stumble and stutter and lie. And I can tell you from having deposed his son and done a transcribed interview with his brother, I mean, lying and dishonesty runs in the Biden family. So we need to see those audio tapes to determine whether or not the Department of Justice was truthful in how they transcribed the entire interview.
Congressman, let's talk the border. President Biden came out today to sign his executive action to try and curtail what's going on, though it very well may streamline things. He blamed you. He blamed Republicans. He blamed former President Trump for what's going on, saying that he had absolutely no choice but to take executive action. Your thoughts on what he said today?
Well, let's just think back 3 years. 3 years ago, when Republicans were doing everything in our ability to get the wall constructed, one of the first acts Joe Biden did when he assumed the presidency was he halted the construction of the border wall. And since then, he's given the material away so that whenever a Republican administration starts in, we're going to have to pay for the wall again and restart construction. He said Republicans were racist for wanting to secure the border, just like he said Republicans were racist and Trump was racist for wanting to implement a travel ban during COVID. Now, Dr. Fauci testified to our committee yesterday that he never said that, and it wasn't racist to have a travel ban, just like I'm saying it wasn't racist to secure the border. I think the American people want something done at the southern border. They're disgusted by Joe Biden and the Democrats for allowing an open border policy, and Joe Biden's trying to save face and conspire and construct some type of false media narrative to try to blame it on the Republicans. I don't think the American people are going to buy that.